Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Adam Haikal. So, my question is define of inflation and elaborate different of type of different inflation. So, firstly, is a definition of inflation. Inflation is the rate at which the general price levels of goods and services rise over a period of time, leading to a decrease in the purchasing power of money. When inflation occurs, the same amount of money buys fewer goods and services, reducing the real value of money. It is typically measured using indexes such as the Consumer Price Index, it is a CPI, and the Producer Price Index, it is a PPI. So now I want to tell you guys about type different inflation. So the first type is a demand pull inflation. Inflation occurs when demand exceeds supply, causing a price to rise due to higher consumer spending, increase government expenditure, and especially monetary policy. So, as seen during economic booms, when people spend more on housing, cars, and electronics. So, the second type, different inflation, it is a cost push inflation. This inflation occurs when production costs rise due to higher wage, raw material price, or supply chain disruption, forcing business to increase the price, as seen when such in crude oil price, rise transportation and production costs, leading to higher price for goods and service. So the third type of a different inflation is hyperinflation. It's like an extreme inflation when a price rise uncontrollably over 15% per month due to excessive money printing, currency devaluation, and economic mismanagement. As seen in Zimbabwe 2008, where inflation reached a million of percent, reducing money was forcing people to use wheelbarrows of cash for basic necessities. So, the last type of different inflation, it is stagflation. Okay, the stagflation is like when inflation and unemployment rise together while economic growth slows, often caused by supply shocks like the 1970s oil crisis. So, when rising oil price led to higher costs for goods and service, it have a job loss and economic stagnation, as well as a poor economic policies such as excessive regulation or high tax, which further weaken a growth. A more recent example is like COVID-19 pandemic, which disrupted global supply chains, increased production costs, and cost a job lose while price continue to rise. So just that about me, the definition of inflation and type different of inflation.
Hi, my name is Nurul Alisa Emily binti Muhammad Reza Azrai. My ID number is PDL2401016. Refer for questions 2. I will talk about the factors and cause of inflation in Malaysia. As highlighted in the Bank Negara Malaysia projection, in Malaysia, inflation is projected to be between 2.0% and 3.5% in 2025. This is influenced by both domestic policy measures and global factors. First, Refer for domestic policy is the Malaysian government is targeting a fuel subsidy of around 95. This policy will stabilize fuel price but create price over effect that could increase the price level of other goods and service. Furthermore, the extent scope of the sales and service tax apply directly to inflation, as the number of goods and service subject to tax is increased. Businesses are likely to pass on to the cost burden to consumer through higher price. We also have external factors. Global commodity price, of course, are one important determinant. Disruption to global supply chains. War and trade dispute can raise the price of essential imports such as food and energies. Other factors include weaker economic growth worldwide, which will weaken demand for Malaysia export and therefore put more pressure on this domestic factor, adding to inflationary pressure in other sectors. The increase in certain sectors have also been very significant. For example, diesel price have increased by 21.20%, and this has had the direct effect of increasing transport costs and directly by raising the price level of goods. In the motor insurance, it increased by 0.8%. However, all is not a gloom. A border domination in food and average price, which rose by only 1.6%, has offset this increase and keep the overall inflation rate stable during this period. Finally, let's talk about subsidy regionalization and waste policy. The government regionalized diesel subsidy in June this year. This could have led to broad-based inflation. However, due to effective enforcement and mitigation measures, this is not had its significant impact of business. Looking ahead, the implementation of the minimum wage under budget this year is likely to support private consumption. More importantly, the central bank believes that wage increase will see limited spillover to inflation, similar to the freshwater situation. In conclusion, inflation in Malaysia is shaped by a combination of domestic policies, global risks and sector-specific factors. While measures such as subsidies and wage policy have helped to contain inflation, external risks such as global commodity price remain a challenge. Managing these factors will be crucial to maintaining economic stability in this year. That's all for questions 2.
Hello everyone. Today I'll be talking about how inflation impact individual society welfare and the standard of living in Malaysia. This is a very important topic because inflation affects all of us in different way, and understanding it can help us prepare for its effect. So, what is inflation? Inflation is the rise in the price of goods and service over time. For example, you might have noticed that the price of your favorite nasi lemak has increased over the year. This is inflation. While it's normal to have small amount of inflation, when it become too high, it can cause problem for individual and the whole society. So, for individual, inflation means that the cost of living become higher. Let's take an example. Imagine someone earning 2,000 per month. If the price groceries, transportation and rent increase, they may struggle to cover their basic need. This can lead to stress and lower quality of life, especially for those with fixed income like retirees. On a large scale, inflation can reduce society welfare. For example, in Malaysia, if inflation increases, people will have less purchasing power. This can lead a fewer sale of business, which might result in job cut. When unemployment rise, society as a whole faces greater economy and social challenge. Inflation can also hurt the standard of living. For instance, if healthcare or education become too expensive, family might not be able to afford this essential service. In the long term, this could affect Malaysia's growth because fewer people can access the opportunity they need to improve their life. In conclusion, inflation impact individual by making life more expensive, reduce society welfare by increasing financial pressure, and lower the standard of living by limiting access to essential service. It's important for us to be aware of inflation and manage our finance wisely to reduce its effect.
Assalamualaikum and good evening. My name is Asnurina Nadira binti Abdul Manan. My ID number is PDL240100N3. Today, we will discuss about the policy measure used by Malaysian government agencies and their potential effectiveness in controlling rising inflation. So, based on the article, the Malaysian government agency used targeted fuel subsidies. The government is implementing targeted subsidies for RON95 fuel. This approach helps control the cost of transportation, which is a significant contributor to inflation. By targeting subsidies to specific groups, it reduces excessive consumption and ensures resources are directed to those who need them most. Second, the Malaysian government agency used expand scope of sale and service tax, which is SST. The expansion of SST is mentioned as part of the domestic policy framework. While increasing SST may raise price in the short term, the revenue generated can be redirected to welfare programs and subsidies that offset inflation impact on vulnerable groups. Third is diesel subsidy rationalization. The article notes the diesel subsidy rationalization implemented in June 2024. Despite concerns, this measure has shown limited spillover to broader price due to strict enforcement and cost mitigation measures for business. This suggests that proper execution of subsidy reforms can minimize inflationary pressures. 4. The Malaysian government agency used minimum wage implementation. Under Budget 2025, a minimum wage policy is set to be implemented. By raising the purchasing power of workers, minimum wage policy can boost consumption and economic growth. However, the article states the previous increase had minimal inflationary impact, indicating this policy can be supportive without significantly exacerbating inflation. That's all. Thank you.